of that. Our next speaker, is just like all the women here, it's very difficult to give a short introduction because they've done so much, but I picked a few points. She won the Olympic gold in the 1984 Olympics, and that was on 100 meters hurdles. And that same year, she graduated from the University of Tennessee with a bachelor's degree in industrial engineering. And she's the Chief of Organizational Excellence for the United States Olympic Committee. She serves on the International Olympic Committee Women in Sport Commission, and she worked in a variety of leadership roles for the United States Olympic Committee, and from the years 1995 to 2001. And well, what can I say? She definitely knows about leadership. Give a warm welcome to Benita Fitzgerald Mosley.
Thanks, Bettina. Good morning, everyone. Such a pleasure to be here with all of you at the 6th IWG World Conference on Women in Sport. I want to thank Carol Oglesby for her kind invitation to come speak with you today. It's all really a privilege to be here, and as a longtime trustee and past chair of the Women's Sports Foundation and former president and CEO of Women in Cable Telecommunications in the U.S., I've always been, for a long time, a women's advocate, and I'm honored to help however I can to help encourage more women to take on leadership roles. As women, we're not only leaders for our staff and our companies, but for our families, for our communities, our sport and our professions. We're coaches, we're teachers, we're motivators and advocates, we're role models, we're mentors, and really for people that we come into contact with throughout our lives. And to simply put it, women rock. As you all know, the theme of this year's conference is Lead the Change, Be the Change. And my personal story has been defined by a lot of people that have led the change in the civil rights movement in the United States, the women's movement around the world, and paved the way for me to go for the gold in Olympic competition and also in professional arenas. Yet while my success has been fueled by a lot of different people and events, really the first leaders in my life were my parents, Roger and Fanny Fitzgerald. As you can see, my parents up there in the top left corner. My mother grew up in the late 30s. My parents, both of them, grew up in the late 30s, early 30s and 40s. And they were both victims of tremendous racism and discrimination. And they still rised above all of that to become leaders in their communities, to get advanced degrees, to become professional educators. And they made a point of introducing my younger sister and I to every opportunity that they couldn't take advantage of while they were growing up. And they also instilled in us the importance of getting a great education and of giving back to our communities. My mother grew up in rural state of Virginia, and she graduated from a historically black university called Virginia Union University. She was denied entrance to grad school in Virginia, so she got her master's at Columbia University. And Virginia at that time, if you were African American, you really could only go to schools that were for African Americans. And so when she wanted to apply to grad schools, the state said, well, you can't go to Virginia Tech, you can't go to the University of Virginia. There were many schools that offered this curriculum in special education that she wanted to pursue. So Columbia University in New York City gave her a full scholarship. It's an Ivy League institution, and she graduated with honors from that school. Very, very proud of that. So 20 years later, as I was coming through high school and running track and looking to go to college or university someplace, I decided not to go to school in the state of Virginia. I ended up going to the University of Tennessee and pursuing my athletic career, my engineering degree there. She continued to be really a hero in the civil rights era in the 60s. She was one of 4 teachers that was tapped to integrate the public school system in the county in which I grew up in Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C. So it's the second largest county in the state of Virginia, many, many tens of thousands of students. And it was at a time in America in the 60s when they were trying all across the country, and sometimes unsuccessfully, to integrate those schools. And she and 4 black teachers went to 4 different all-white schools and taught for that whole entire year. They were handpicked by the superintendent of schools, and after a successful year of them teaching, then they decided to integrate the entire school system. So those 4 women are called the Courageous 4, and as a result, after 35 years of teaching and being a top administrator in the school system, they decided to name a school after my mother. It's Fannie W. Fitzgerald Elementary School, and it happens to sit on Benita Fitzgerald Drive, which they named after me after I won my gold medal. My father, Roger Fitzgerald, was an incredible math and science teacher. He was a guidance counselor, school administrator, and a great mentor and role model for my sister, Kim, and I. He helped thousands of students that he counseled and taught in his 38 years of education. And he taught us the power of positive thinking long before it was really popular back in the 70s and 80s when I was a kid. And he talked to us about really thinking positively, about visualizing your success. And that only helped me in school, but it helped me as a track athlete as well. My dad also was a math and science undergrad. He had a graduate degree in counseling, but because of that math and science background, he instilled in me the importance of really pursuing that in my own career. So it was really at his behest that I ended up getting this engineering degree. He's my guidance counselor when I was in high school, and he used to fill out my class schedule for me. I didn't fill it out. He put math analysis and calculus and advanced chemistry and physics. I was really good for nothing else but to get an engineering degree by the time it was all finished. And unfortunately, my father passed away just about a year ago. But with over 500 people at his funeral, I know that his legacy lives on with the thousands of students that he counseled and supported in high school, and of course with my sister and I and our families and his grandchildren. Both my parents left a wonderful legacy for us and for our kids, and I owe a debt of gratitude to them for sure. I also owe a debt of gratitude to my coaches, 2 of whom are pictured here today. The top one is Terry Crawford. She was the head coach at University of Tennessee when I was there. We've remained friends for many years. She was just really instrumental. She didn't coach me in the hurdles, but as a head coach, she ensured that I got all the competitive opportunities I could, that she hired the best hurdle coaches to help me, that she opened doors in sports medicine and science, and really pushed the envelope to ensure that I had the best training possible to prepare me to be a successful athlete. I really loved Terry so much that when I became chief of sport at USA Track and Field, I hired her to be director of coaching. It was pretty much a change, I guess, opposite of what it was in college when she was really my boss. But it was interesting and it was fun, and she's an amazing woman and executive. John Miller, who's also pictured here, was my hurdle coach in 1984. He became my coach in the Olympic year. I had to switch coaches, and in 1 year, he took me from being 8th in the world, where I actually ran here in Helsinki at the first ever World Championships, from 8th in the world that year to best in the world, becoming Olympic champion in just 1 year. Amazing coach. He knew exactly what drills and workouts to give me, and really what to say to me to help build my confidence as I was going into that Olympic year. So I learned so many lessons on the track that I really attribute back to my coaches. And they reinforced those teachings and that guidance. And as I've moved through my business career, I realized that I apply a lot of the lessons that I learned right there on the track and translate those lessons to what I do off the track. From 2001 to 2009, I was president and CEO of Women in Cable Telecommunications. It's an organization that specializes in teaching women the leadership skills that they need to lead at whatever level they aspire to in the business world. And we wanted our members to take cues from major leaders in the media industry like Ann Sweeney, who runs all of Disney and ABC in the United States, and Abby Raven, who runs Lifetime. Judy McGrath used to run MTV Networks, and Oprah Winfrey, of course, who runs the Oprah Winfrey Network. So we created some guiding principles that define the most important attributes of a strong leader. They serve as a compass along the members' and women's path of leadership development and career development. So I'm going to take a few minutes to discuss these 7 touchstones of leadership with you. The first one is to know yourself. Know what you stand for and know where you're going. I want to emphasize 2 important points from this first leadership touchstone. And the first part of knowing yourself is to understand who you are before you can understand and decide what you want to be. You have to know your own personality, your strengths, your weaknesses, the motivators, before you try to guide others to their potential. So whether it's through personality assessments or leadership classes or seminars or books or prayer or therapy, you have to get to know yourself, and then you'll be a much better position to be a strong leader for others. As a coach, you've got to walk the talk. Your athletes and employees, they look to you to set the example for their behavior. You're the guiding force of that team, and you set appropriate standards of excellence, and they will certainly strive to meet and exceed them. Secondly, you take what you learn about yourself and you use it to find your passion. People that are most successful in life are those that are doing something they love. I found my calling in track and field when I was 12 years old after a lot of fits and starts in a bunch of different other sports, softball and majorettes and gymnastics even, believe it or not, as tall as I am. And I transferred that passion that I had for track and field to my professional career as well, and I've been able to give back, really, to women and people of color, athletes with disabilities throughout my career and after I left engineering through Special Olympics and Women's Sports Foundation, USA Track and Field, Women in Cable, and of course now back at the United States Olympic Committee. And so Katharine Graham once said, she was the former chairman of the Washington Post newspaper in Washington, D.C. She said, "To love what you do and feel that it matters, how can anything be more fun?" The next one, next touchstone is to communicate with passion and poise in writing and in person. Communication is a lot more than just being articulate. It's what you say and how you say them and to whom you say them that can define you as a leader and separates the good leaders from the great ones. Whether it's in a staff meeting or giving a speech or just a one-on-one meeting with a colleague or one of your employees, they're going to hang on your every word. You have to take care and be thoughtful and think about what you're going to say. You have to prepare before participating in a meeting and when you respond to a colleague in an email, so that you're always thinking about how to uplift and inspire those around you through your communication. The next is listen with more than just your ears. A true leader listens with their heart and their head to build relationships and gain better insight into others' needs and inspirations. One of the things that I appreciated most about my coach is that they really listened to what I had to say. We had a dialogue about my career. We had a partnership, and it was one that was bolstered by the fact that they really had their ears open and really delved into how I was feeling after a workout or after a race, and really where I was psychologically and mentally and emotionally going into a competition. They'd respond when I told them I have a slight injury or a slight pain. They'd adjust the workout accordingly. They knew I wasn't a wimp. I wasn't just trying to back out of doing some hard work, but they understood that if they listened to their athlete, they could get the most out of me. They really also thought about my physical and mental, both physical and mental well-being. And, when all of us, when we listen to our athletes, when we listen to our employees and those around you, it helps you gain better insight into their needs, their motivations, and that better helps you develop a winning team, whether it's on the playing field or in the boardroom. The next touchstone is connect to your peers, your industry, and everything around you. This touchstone encompasses a lot of things. It really stresses the importance of getting more involved in your sport governing body. We heard the opening speaker talk about that this morning, what a dearth of female talent we have leading our sports organizations. It could also be to strengthen your networking and leadership skills so that you really understand the issues facing your industry and you're able better to enact some change. You want to get to know your athletes, your employees and colleagues, and getting to know them is important as well. Many times I think especially as women, we're so busy scurrying around doing, that we don't take time to pause and really get to know the people that will help us do the work and make the change that we want to see changed. We want to don't skip lunch all the time. Take out those networking opportunities to mix and mingle with your colleagues, with leaders in your organizations, and with those who work with and for you. We need to connect to our industry, our competition, our colleagues, and more so that you gain the knowledge and insight and personal context necessary to make your organization and your team more successful. Next is be a catalyst, raise standards, promote respect, set the wheels of change in motion. This touchstone says that in order to be great leaders, we have to be change agents. We can't be afraid to do things that are new and different, and we have to always look for ways to do things better, faster, and smarter. Several of my coaches are real change agents. I talked about Terry and John. I mean, they both really were always looking for the legal, ethical way to help their athletes become stronger and faster. And others inspired me to do more that I can do. I remember way back in the summer of 1976, I was in high school, a freshman in high school, and there was a girl that was several years older than I at the high school, and she made the Olympic team that year. And the track coach at my high school told me, you know what, in 4 years, when you're a senior in high school, you could make the Olympic team yourself. And I thought to myself, the thought really had never occurred to me. I didn't understand and appreciate that I had that kind of world-class talent, but she saw it. And she was the one that put that idea in my mind. And so, you know, for me, she was a catalyst to helping me think bigger, to think more forward into my future, dip into that potential that she knew I had. So, you know, I think a lot of times we want to inspire others to do more than they could do, and the change comes from that. In addition, coaches can be agents of change in your sport and your industry. You can advocate for things like better salaries. In America, we have a law called Title IX. It wouldn't have been so if we hadn't had some wonderful, courageous women that really worked together and banded together with Congress in order to get that law passed. Better coaching certification or gender equity in hiring. You can help advance change for yourself, for other women, and for your sport. So others are looking to you to inspire them to reach higher and to be a catalyst that transforms your organizations. Next is to be fearless. Take risks, be confident in your convictions, and bring others along. Successful leaders aren't afraid to risk it all. They actually take advantage of that fear to help propel them to the next level. I can remember when I ran my best races in the hurdles. You might imagine it's a 100-meter race. There are 10 hurdles. They're all 8 meters apart, and you take 8 steps to the first hurdle, 3 steps in between, and the hurdles just keep coming up faster and faster and faster and faster. And the better you get at the hurdles, the faster the hurdles come up, and quite frankly, the more frightening it is in the long run. But what I learned, I had to just run with reckless abandon. I just had to, you know, when the gun goes off, just tear down the track as fast as I could and realize that all the hours and hours and hours and years, quite frankly, of practice that I'd put in were going to take over ultimately, and that I shouldn't be afraid, that I should use that fear to propel me forward across the finish line, hopefully in front of the best of my competition. Leaders need to feel that same reckless abandon when they are going about their duties as leaders. When they set out to reach their goals, you know, you can't plan every bump in the road or every hurdle in the road, and you have to just have the confidence to know that all your years of experience will really help you when those issues arise. And lastly, inspire, and others will follow. I think the most important role that a leader can play is that of a coach and a mentor and a role model. Your team is looking for you to set the examples that you want them to follow. Your inspiration is going to drive others around you to become future leaders themselves. The WIC Touchstones of Leadership don't just apply to a chief executive or a president or a director or a manager. They apply to all of us. Anybody can be a leader and guide those around them to unprecedented success. So if you're just beginning in your career, you're in the middle of the pipeline, you're at the top of the heap, don't assume that someone else will lead. Each of us can make a difference in the lives of those around us. And so in closing, I challenge you to be your best coach, to know yourself, communicate, listen, connect, be a catalyst, be fearless, and inspire. Dare to lead the change and be the change. Be the leader that inspires your team to great success. Thanks for listening.